Well, hello, and welcome back to another podcast episode with Brittany Bundles. You are listening to the Brittany Bundles podcast, where we empower people through entrepreneurship. And today I want to talk about putting your best foot forward each day. Okay, I want to really go into depth and detail about what I mean when I say that, and some best practices that I've used in my businesses that have helped me um, not feel overwhelmed so often and has also helped me stay very productive. So if you are interested in this episode, be sure to give this episode a thumbs up. We are now on YouTube for the podcast. That may change, but for now, that's where the podcast episodes are going to be posted. Also, be sure to check out prior podcast episodes on the YouTube playlist. All you have to do is click the playlist tab, go down to the Brittany Bundles podcast, and you'll see the episodes there. I'm also going to ask that you follow the podcast Instagram at Brittany Bundles _podcast. And I'm going to ask too for you all to share the podcast. Sharing the podcast helps to bring exposure to all the entrepreneurs that have been on the podcast, as well as the products and services that have been promoted on the podcast and the great information to help motivate and empower other entrepreneurs just like ourselves. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give you all a moment to share the podcast, and we'll be right back to get started. All right. Welcome back to the Brittany Bundles podcast. So, today we're talking about putting your best foot forward each day, and we're going to go over some best practices. So, one thing that I do, being in an entrepreneurial role, there are multiple hats that I wear. There's multiple businesses that I own, and there's a lot of tasks for me to do, and it seems like sometimes it's just not enough time. And also, sometimes I feel like before I even get out of the bed, I'm like, man, there's a lot that I need to get done today. And I start thinking about all of the tasks and all of the correspondence that I have to reply to and all of the different creative ideas that I need to come up with. Even today, just this morning, I'm thinking, what do I want to talk about for this podcast episode? I thought that I had the idea set last night, and then I woke up like, no, I kind of want to talk about something different. So all of that, the creativity, the time management, being able to motivate yourself to even get out of the bed, that all takes some willpower. And there are some skills that can make those tasks more efficient and more seamless. So, no matter what, every day I get up and I get dressed. I don't care if I'm sick. I don't care if I am not feeling like getting out or getting up. I get up every single day and I get dressed. This is a habit that was started by my mother when I was a child. And she would tell me, hey, Brittany, getting up, getting dressed will make you feel better. She would say this particularly when I was sick. Now, of course, if you're super, super sick and you can't get up, I get that. But sometimes I would be on my cycle. It would be that time of the month. And I'm like, I really don't want to get up. And to my surprise, getting up, moving around, getting some tea, some coffee, some orange juice, brushing my teeth, washing my face, taking my shower, getting dressed, doing my hair, it really helped me feel a lot better. And so there are actually studies that have proven that even if you're not feeling well, when you get up and you start moving around, getting that blood pumping through your body, it does something positive for you. So that is one thing. I know it may seem small, but that's something that I do. And I remember my brother's girlfriend at the time, she called me on FaceTime and she said, oh my gosh, it's like 7 a.m. and you're dressed already. And you don't have to go out to work. You're working from your phones and you're doing social media content. So why are you dressed? And I remember telling her I get dressed every single morning. Whether I'm working from home, whether I'm not, whether I'm going out the house, I make sure I get dressed every morning. And that really helps put me in the right mental space. And it seems like it helps me start to think about different ideas and be more, it just makes me feel like I'm actually working, I'm at work. Just like the energy we take and the time that we take when we go to work for someone else, a lot of times we don't use that same energy when it comes to our business, and our businesses suffer because of that. I always used to say when I was working it was a call center selling internet and phone and television services. And on my lunches, I would create different ideas and sketches of what I wanted my hair company to be. And so I would write down different names of what I wanted the website to be, the domain name, and what I wanted the business name to be. And people would come to me often and say, hey, you're really on this. You're really going to create this hair business, right? And I ended up creating the hair business. But one thing that really kept me dedicated to it was every day getting up and realizing that I don't like going to this job every day. I don't like the fact that my children have to be in daycare. I don't like the fact that I'm not able to spend as much time with my family and friends that I would want to spend. I'm on a schedule all the time. I have to ask if I could even use the bathroom sometimes. Like, can I hop off the phone and use the restroom? I just didn't like that environment. And not all jobs are like that, but the job that I was working with was very, very strict. Or working for, I should say, was very, very strict. And I didn't enjoy going to the job. I went there for my check and my benefits. And so I was like, if I'm going to get up every morning and be on time to this job, get up every morning, get dressed for this job, get up every morning and put my professional presence on for this job. I'm speaking in my professional tone. I am using my professional skills, the communication skills, building rapport, being able to relate and offer the right products to the right people. If I'm able to do all of this, then I'm not going to shortchange when it comes to my business. So on my spare time, whether it be my lunch break, when I got home from work, I would be super tired after I put my children to bed. But I still would get up and I would put time into creating my business because I knew that this was going to be my ticket out of working my 9 to 5. And I needed to put just as much, if not more, energy into my own business. So, boiling down, just to toggle back to what I was saying about getting dressed, treat your business like you would someone else's, or even better. If you're going to get dressed for someone else's business, get dressed for yours. And then also, you don't know who you're going to run into. I have received so many um, new clients, new consultations, even new hair clients. Not so more now for hair because I don't wear my extensions like I used to. And that's because now I have locks. However, I still get a lot of people that are gravitating toward me. I just got an email yesterday asking if I could present at a job fair. And so, there's just a lot of different opportunities that you can miss by not putting your best foot forward every day, by not looking your best, speaking your best, and operating your best. The second thing that I want to go over is read development content. So if you're putting your best foot forward every day, that also entails not just looking the part, but actually being the part. So I started reading a lot of John Maxwell books because I wanted to become a better leader. I wanted to become better at speaking. I wanted to become better at connecting and relating to people. And I wanted to become better at networking too. So I started reading John Maxwell. I enjoy reading his books so much to the point that I found myself constantly going back to Barnes and Nobles and getting new books after I would finish one. And then reading more John Maxwell books, it brought me to different authors that were in this similar category as far as teaching business development skills. And I just started really incorporating business development content into my everyday schedule. I had a lot of experiences and a lot of information that I've learned through my experiences, but I also wanted to challenge myself to learn more. And that's what I would do. I would not just spend my days scrolling on Facebook, not even spend my days just watching TikToks or Reels, but I would spend my time actually reading different articles, reading different blogs, reading different books, and educating myself on what some of the success stories before me look like and how exactly can I benefit or can I take some of those stories and information and skills that I'm reading about and implement those into my business so that I can be more successful. One thing that I've learned is that one of the most valuable tools and skills that you can have is the tool of communication and being skillful at doing that. So, learning how to connect with different people. And when you're communicating and networking with different people, your persona, your presence, the way that you are interacting and speaking back, your body language, all of that impacts how the interaction is going to go. So, read more development content, whatever industry you're in, even if you're not reading anything specific to your industry, because John Maxwell, the books weren't about how to sell hair, right? They weren't about how to open a credit repair business. They weren't about how to create YouTube videos. They weren't about how to do podcasting, but they were more so about personal development, which is a skill that can aid you in every aspect of your business. So look into reading development content every day in an effort to put your best foot forward. The next thing that I want to touch on is networking. So, getting out of your shell, networking, meeting new people, going to different functions, different events, and people eventually start inviting you. I remember when I first started selling hair, I was the one emailing everyone asking if I could speak at their school, or emailing asking if I could speak at their event, or emailing asking if I could come on the radio show. And I did that for some time. And then I actually, now that I've been in business for so long, there are people that are actually emailing me now asking me, hey, Brittany, can you come to my function? Can you speak here? What is your rate for this? Can you promote this product? And so when you start networking and just getting out of your shell, asking people, offering yourself, offering your services, connecting with different people that may not look like you, that may not talk like you, that may not be from the same area, you'll start to learn more and you'll start to integrate yourself with more opportunities. I was talking to my friend this morning and I was explaining to her that I was talking to one of my, I don't want to call him a mentor, I could say the associate, or I wouldn't say a friend either, but I was talking to someone and he's actually a broker. And the way that I met him was through another connection. And I would just had some information about the industry, real estate. And I'm always looking at different ways to increase income. I'm always looking at different streams of income that are going to be stable and reliable. And although in business, what is that, right? Like there are going to be some times that you go into different business ventures and they're not stable, especially in the beginning, and they may not be completely reliable. But that's another reason why you have multiple streams and you make wise investments. But I was talking to him and I was asking him some questions. And I got off the phone. I was so excited about the information I got. I called my grandmother. And my grandmother, she's very, very supportive. I called her and I told her about the conversation. And she said, you know what? For the information that he gave you, normally people would have to pay for that. And she was explaining because she also has businesses. She does a nonprofit. And my aunt and her are doing a lot of new great things with the school project that they're working with or working on. Nevertheless, she said that when she was getting started in her pastoral career, her and my grandfather would go out and they would actually pay other pastors to get information from them. Like, I'm assuming that they would go out to dinner and, pick up the tab, or go out to brunch and pick up the tab to speak and get some information and some pointers. And I'm sure some people said, hey, you don't have to pay. But the point is, a lot of information that you're getting, that I'm getting, is information that some people are being charged for, or some people are paying for. And so when I realized that, it stuck out to me even further how much of a blessing it was to be able to have these people in my circle that I can reach out to and ask questions to, just readily available, the number right in my phone. And so networking, had not met the initial person that connected me to him, and I went out to brunch with the initial person that I'm referring to. I don't want to use any names, but I met him because he was the person that sold me my first home. And he had written books about, real estate and all of this. I looked him up online. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that he was doing as much as he was doing when he sold me my home. And so just knowing different people and keeping those connections open and people feeling comfortable to refer you to other people is a great way to network. I used to think in order to network, I had to just be out and just wait for people to come up to me, but that's not how it works necessarily. Sometimes you have to be the initiator. Sometimes you have to go out and you have to introduce yourself. You have to go out and you have to practice what you're going to say. Even if you have to look at yourself in the morning in the mirror and practice looking at yourself, making eye contact, and introducing yourself. Just small things like that that sometimes we overlook can really help build the confidence that you need to get out there and successfully network. Another thing that I want to point out Another thing that I want to mention is number 4 is the sales strategy. So if you're putting your best foot forward every day, always be thinking about new sales strategies that you can implement, okay? Because we already know that building rapport and building up your network of resources and your book of business, those are all important pieces of selling in any industry. However, what other tips or strategies can be implemented to refine your sales processes even more? So I recently got into just looking at marketing in a psychology, like in the psychology aspect, like the science behind marketing and the psychology marketing tactics that go into like big companies, big name companies. What are they doing to keep our attention and to get us to continue to come back? And I got interested in that because I'm taking psychology courses and I'm actually doing a psychology internship and I'm enjoying doing that. And so I started learning more about color psychology. I have a video about that on my YouTube channel. It was one of the most popular videos last month. So be sure to check that out at Brittany Bundles. Um, and then I have some other marketing videos related to psychology as well, and seeing that not just the colors impact buyers' decisions and your sales successes, but also different, like even down to like the name that you're naming your business, down to the description that you put under your products. So just finding out creative and different sales strategies that may have been around forever that maybe you don't know about or that you've overlooked, and going back to them to see what you can implement into your business to have better outcomes. The last point that I want to touch on in this podcast is be active and apply. So once you have all of the information, one of the worst things you can do is talk yourself out of applying it. Okay. There are so many people that watch videos every single day. They have the content, like the development content down pat. They're watching videos, they're reading books. Sometimes they're paying for courses, they're paying for mentorship. They have sometimes they're being invited to different workshops. Like they have all of the knowledge needed to progress in their business, but they don't actually have the skill to apply it. They don't have the motivation to do it. They don't have the confidence to see it through. Okay. And that's not to say that it's a horrible thing, because I think a lot of us have been there where we've been too nervous to do certain things. But you have to get to a point where you're like, how much more do I need to learn before I take my first step? Okay. How much more equipment am I waiting to collect before I record my first YouTube video? How much more, or how many more conversations do I want to have with my friend about what I'm possibly going to do next year before I get started doing it? So there comes a point, it actually reminds me of this passage in the Bible where it talks about forever learning, but never coming to the knowledge of truth. And that verse was in Timothy. And it was actually talking about silly women laden with sins, women and how they can allow different people, different men to come into their homes and guide them astray based on their own um, desires and lusts that aren't right. But I like that verse where it says forever learning but never able to come to the knowledge of truth. At some point, you have to come to an understanding with yourself that I've learned enough for me to get started. Okay? Because sometimes we can hide behind the fact that we're learning so much, and we can use that as a reason not to become active. Learn, but also apply your knowledge. Okay? Learn the sales strategies, but then apply it. Learn about your industry, but then get started. Learn about how to network, but then go out and do it. You can learn, keep learning, never stop learning, continue to feed yourself with content related to you and your development and your business and your industry. But also don't shortchange yourself by investing all this time into learning that and never applying it. So those are some of my tips on how to put your best foot forward each day. I actually use these tips and they have been very helpful in my life. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, because like I said, this episode is on YouTube. If you'd like to be a guest on the Brittany Bundles podcast, please send me an email at Btalks, that's the letter BTALKS. Also, please follow me on social media. You can follow me on Facebook at Brittany Bundles. That is Brittany, Brittney, Bundles, Bundles. I'm on Instagram at Brittany Bundles, or excuse me, Brittany_Bundles. The podcast is Brittany Bundles_podcast. And I'm also on X at Brittany Bundles. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. Until next time, I'll talk to you all later.